the weekend with some World Team League. I'm, of course, your host, Light VIP, and with me, I am joined by my lovely and beautiful plushies. Later on, I may be joined by another CranKy Duckling, but we'll see how things do go on. Regardless, the show must, of course, go on, and we have quite a matchup here for everyone. We have Invictus Gaming going up against Team ABYDOS, and it's going to be a spicy one. Invictus Gaming, they've been struggling a little bit over the course of this WTL season. They haven't had the best runs overall, but the ABYDOS roster this week is an interesting one. They are missing some of their ace players. I don't know if you noticed, but we do have Mondo, SOS, and another player by the name of Nightmare. Mondo, SOS, and Nightmare, which means we're missing Creator and Cure. We're missing their strongest players. So because of that, this is the best case scenario for Invictus Gaming. This is the ideal scenario. We are having a lesser roster fielded by ABYDOS, and IG are fielding their best. So if an upset were to happen, if something were to go awry, and for Invictus Gaming to take the series, this is the moment. The stars have aligned. Creator, you know, he skipped leg day and now he's got muscle pains or something. You know, we've got we've got Cure, who happens to be sick somehow despite his name being Cure. So somehow, some way, all these things have gone correctly for IG, and now, yeah, we have a more closer lineup than we otherwise would have expected. The first matchup here is going to be a PVZ between MacSed and Mondo, and we've been casting a lot of Mondo recently. We've been watching him in ESL Asia, we've been watching him in the KSL, and even in Sparkling Tuna Cup as well. Shout out to Mondo, he's even shows up in the chat from time to time. From time to time, he does show up in the chat, so you love it to see it. But here he is, or here is his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner for Invictus Gaming. It is MacSed. And in the top right-hand corner for ABYDOS, it is Mondo. Oh boy, so we have been casting a lot of Mondo recently. He is an up-and-coming player in Korea. He is still a semi-pro player, and I want to say semi-pro because he's still on a pro team. He's still on ABYDOS. He has been supported by ABYDOS, and before that, Team NV for about a year now, and Mondo is still looking to break into the pro scene. He's still looking to improve. He's still not there yet. Like when I put Mondo up against players like Honmono or Quanta or Rebellion, I do kind of favor those players more. I think Mondo is still looking to make a name for himself, but he has been having some pretty impressive results. We were lucky enough to cast him take down Nice 2-1 in the best of 3 series a couple of weeks ago, and we saw him have a pretty close series against Classic as well a couple of weeks ago too. So PVZ, he can definitely have a good showing here. I would still say that Mondo still has a lot to prove to the world, to everyone, but this is the place to do it. MacSed is within his realm of possibility, his capacity to defeat. If you can take down Nice, you can take down MacSed. I believe, Papi, I believe, but we'll see how this does go. Typically, Mondo, he thrives in the mid-game. Very Dimaga-esque, where he kind of thrives on a lower drone count and is reliant a lot more on Roach timings, on Ling Bane timings, off of a, 60s to 70 drone count. Nothing too crazy, just focusing on overpowering the Protoss player in the mid-game. That's typically where Mondo does thrive, and I wonder if MacSed is aware of that, as of course we are getting into this game, and so far nothing crazy has gone on. When it comes to the Chinese Protoss players out there, when we think about MacSed, I know Asher usually says this, and I will echo that as well. MacSed is usually a relatively solid player. He's not overly cheesy, he's not overly aggressive, he's not overly strange like some of these others, like Firefly, for example, or even Jaishi, who can be much more aggressive. MacSed, a lot more solid in his play, a lot more well-rounded. Doesn't do anything too fancy, just, solid play. And I'm sure that's what we're going to be seeing here. We do see a Stargate opener coming out from MacSed, as to be expected. From Mondo, likewise, Hatch Gas Pool into a third base. All the openers are normal, but it's about the mid-game. That's where we want to be keeping our eyes on our players. And MacSed, even though he's not the most diverse player, we expect him to come in prepared as well, because again, Mondo is beatable for him, is definitely beatable, but we do want to make sure we come in prepared for anything and make sure we bring our A game. And already we are diverting expectations. We have a Void Ray on the way. Now, just because we have a Void Ray doesn't mean it's going to be Sky Toss. Not at all. Void Rays are typically used in this matchup just to deny vision, just to kill Overlords, and to hide the follow-up as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on things. This could also just be for mind games. It could just be Void Ray into Oracle. That's honestly most likely what it's going to be. But you know, Mondo isn't going to know that. He's still going to have this kind of haze, this fog of ambiguity kind of surrounding MacSed after this Void Ray shuts down the Overlords. And as I say that, the Void Ray does come out. It does take down the Overlord outside the natural base. And already, this is a little bit peculiar. It was a Void Ray first, into a Twilight Council, into a Forge, which is normal. But there is no Oracle. At all, actually. Which means that, one, the third base of MacSed is pretty exposed, and he's cutting some corners. And again, he's relying on killing these Overlords, on keeping Mondo's vision at bay, and hoping that he wouldn't counterattack, hoping that he would maybe overreact and not punish MacSed for his greed. Again, MacSed preserving his resources, preserving his gas that would otherwise be invested into multiple oracles, instead going into faster tech and that third base. And there it is. It is not going to be Blink. It's going to be Charge instead. So something a little bit more out of the norm. I say that, I mean, it has been pretty meta recently. It's either +1 Blink Stalkers or +1 Charge instead. And before that happens, Adepts are looking to deal some damage. 3 drones already go down, not too bad. On top of those 3 drones, we have 1 Spore Crawler in every single base because Mondo was afraid of those Oracles. He didn't know. He didn't know if Oracles were coming or not. So I don't blame him whatsoever for throwing down those Spores, but that is more invert damage. Meanwhile, it's an all-in. MacSed is going for a +1 charge all-in. We have 7 gates on the way. We have a Templar Archives as well. We already had a gateway at the natural as well, so I believe 8 gates in total. Meanwhile, Mondo is cutting workers himself. This is what I was talking about. Mondo typically thrives in the mid-game, and yo, he's going all in as well. We're waddling the queens across the map. Lings, Roaches, Ravagers are all going to be running headfirst into a wave of Zealots. But we need time to warp in. And yo, that Prism is going across the map. It is going to come across the all-in, and now we have a little bit of a Spider-Man meme going on. Unfortunately, MacSed doesn't have any defender's advantage. There are no shield batteries. There are no oracles. There is 1 Void Ray. He is woefully unprepared for this as the Lings do get into the middle line. Probes are going down. This third base will fall, but that's not the biggest of deals because MacSed wasn't necessarily looking to make use of this third base. The third base will go down. MacSed instead preparing to defend his natural. Shield batteries are on the way. Immortals are on the way as well. But is it going to be enough as we only have 2 shield batteries? We're getting ready for this. God, and the Ravagers can make short work of the wall. Oh, God, can make short work of that. Biles are going to be connecting on the Cybercore. The Cybercore is going to be going down. No overcharge to save it, but it's okay. We're making Zealots anyway. The Cybercore was not needed. The Void Ray does go down to the Queens. The overcharged shield battery is under threat as well. The Immortal is doing a lot of damage, and it looks like MacSed is looking to hold. We are running out of steam. The Lings go down. Zealots are looking to chase everything else down as well, and MacSed survives here on 2 bases, but Mondo is already droning. He's already recognizing that he can't end the game. Oh, but we do have a massive counterattack instead. The Prism comes across the map, and now Mondo's in a lot of trouble. Oh, he didn't have a lot at home to defend. He was droning more than anything. He wasn't ready for a counterattack like this, and now Mondo is hurting. A couple of drones going to be going down. The Ravagers get cleaned up. A massive warp of Zealots into the main base. Suddenly the turns do table. Suddenly everything was on fire. Things were looking so good for Mondo. And now, not so much. Now there are Zealots in the main, Zealots in the natural. Archons are rushing across the map. MacSed is rushing across the map to go all in, essentially, to end the game. And it looks like he has found a beautiful timing. Mondo. He did so well for himself with this push. He killed the third, he killed the Cybercore, but this counterattack is hitting so quickly, so drastically. And alas, there is nothing left here to fight with. Boys are being pulled, queens come to the table, and GG gets called. MacSed takes game number 1. Oh, powerful. And Mondo, God, I appreciate his build. He did a lot of damage. He killed the third base. You could argue, though, that he overcommitted at the natural. He burned up all of his Lings. All of his Lings. For what? He killed the Cybercore, but he didn't need to send his Lings in to kill the Cybercore. He was biling it down anyway. You know, he was attacking with his queens and with his roaches. Mondo definitely overstayed his welcome, and because of the Void Ray, Mondo also didn't know what MacSed was doing. He didn't know that, oh, you know, he killed a third, and you know, now my opponents contain to 2 bases. Well, they're also on 8 gates. They're also on 8 gates, and they were also going all in. So suddenly the counterattack potential was so much more threatening for MacSed. And again, Mondo didn't know because he didn't have an Overlord in the main, because the Overlords were all dying because of that Void Ray earlier. So alas, he didn't know that pulling out a little bit faster maybe would have been the wiser choice instead of sticking around a little bit longer. He gets punished for it. And just like that, MacSed has a 1-0 lead. Oh boy. But I want to believe here in Mondo. I want to believe in his ability to come back. Again, he's still an up-and-coming player, still quite young, still in school as well. I say in school, he's in university from my understanding. And yeah, like I've seen sparks of brilliance here in Mondo before. I've seen him work some wonders. I've seen some magic happen. I know he can bring down MacSed, but as we saw, MacSed is clearly prepared as well. MacSed isn't playing standard. MacSed isn't going to be your typical average Protoss player. No, there is more thought behind it. He's going to be coming in with different builds, even here in Game 2. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gress Farm, we have representing IG. It is MacSed. And spawning in the top left-hand corner for ABYDOS, it is Mondo. When I say Mondo, all I think of is Mondo Burger. Shout out to anyone in the chat that knows what that is. But I also just ate, so thankfully it's okay. I didn't have a lot of time to myself today in between all the casts. I had 0 time, actually. But we were able to eat some burritos, so it's okay. It's okay. I made like 4 burritos. It was beautiful. I am satiated. Speaking of being satiated, we're getting into this game, and nothing too crazy to begin with here. Once again, the openers are seeming very standard between our 2 players, as to be expected. Again, it's about the follow-up, right? We're going to be keeping an eye on the drone count again. When it comes to Gressvan, we have seen some low drone count all-ins from Mondo before, designed to break the 3rd base. Not quite in the fashion that we just saw, but, you know, a little bit later on, you know, with maybe a little bit higher saturation. 66 drones is kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see. We'll see. I know Mondo doesn't want to be too predictable either. Oh, I see him in the chat. I could go for a good burger. Let's go. Curious handling the production. Kura, do you know what good burger is? Do you know what Mondo burger is? Oh, Kura's not there. Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh. It's an old Disney movie from the early 2000s that I watched as a child, and I enjoyed it as a child. And I recently tried to rewatch it as an adult, like maybe because we have Disney Plus now. I tried to it's on Disney Plus, and I tried to rewatch it like a month ago. It doesn't hold up. I couldn't sit through it. I couldn't do it. It was not good. But you know what? It's charming in its own way. It's fine, Puppy. It's fine. Upon the light, enjoyed. Shaking my head. Oh god. But yeah, we are getting into this, and so far nothing too crazy to write home about. Mondo is making he's actually going all in, never mind. Mondo is cutting workers at 19 drones. I was a little bit lost in thought thinking about burgers, Mondo, and otherwise, and oh boy, a lot of Lings are flooding across the map off of 19 workers. Mondo's droning behind this, which I don't think is the wisest move, because we're pretty all in. Like, we're pretty committed. We have to end the game with this, and if we don't, we're going to be in a really bad position. Here we go. The wall is not a wall. Ling speed is going to kick in 10 seconds. Before that happened, these adepts are just trading so damn well. The boys are being pulled as well to keep the adepts alive, and these Lings are being cleaned up, and this did not go too well here for Mondo. He's down in workers. This was a big investment here for him, and you know, he was able to get some economic damage, but this hurt Mondo more than it helped him. Oh boy. As we can see, we are now even in the worker counts, which is never a good thing for Zerg. He at least has a third base on the way, and he's, again, saturating as we speak, but yeah, that did kind of help MacSed more than anything. Now, MacSed, he's chilling back at home. He is actually keeping his Oracle back at home as well. It looks like MacSed is scared of a follow-up all-in. He is delaying his third base by quite a bit, just anticipating more links to come across the map. So in a way, you know, Mondo is able to deal some inadvertent damage at least. He's able to delay that third, but it is on the way nonetheless, and all this Overlord will go down, supply blocking Mondo for a little bit. Thankfully, we have a couple more Overlords being produced. Spores are thrown down all over the place to make sure that the Oracle doesn't do too much damage, and we are going to be moving on from here. Once again, MacSed getting into his Twilight Council and a Forge. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is also off of only one Oracle. So, very greedy stuff here from MacSed. I do like this, though. Again, Mondo, he just, you know, kind of threw away a bunch of links. And if Mondo is trying to macro from here, the likelihood of Mondo having more links than the third base is very low, actually. So MacSed is going to be able to get away with only one Oracle. Is getting his third base up and running. We have the Forge on the way. We have +1. Once again, it's going to be charged. We'll keep an eye on that gateway count. We'll see how committed we are. Height 1 Sweet Mondo confirmed. Oh, I want him inside. No, I'm full. I just ate. I don't want Mondo inside me. Maybe next time. As we do see Mondo just droning up for the time being, taking the rest of his gases as well. We keep an eye on that drone count to see when he does cut workers and when he does get another base. Meanwhile, we have a massive gateway explosion. 7 gates on the way here from MacSed. This is the exact same build that he went for in game number 1. 8 gate +1 charge off of 3 bases. We saw how hard this can hit, and we're going to see that again. This time, though, Mondo isn't going all in. This time, Mondo is going to have a better economy. He's going to have roaches available as well. Oh, he's droning up, and he's going to be able to get up to almost a 70 worker count with these 5 lings. Sorry, with these 5 drones. And from here, he should be cutting workers and amassing an army. And is that army going to be able to come out in time for what MacSed has in store for him? Because the Prism is out. Prism is going to be moving across the map as we speak, just, you know, having a little bit of a gander at those lovely sponsors. Shout out to Doyu, Hypergriff, TGI Fridays, Taido, and Rio de Janeiro. There you go. That is where Fast and Furious is being filmed. It's all about family. As we see MacSed not committing to a massive charge push, he's going to be morphing in a couple of Archons instead, going to be dipping in towards the main base. So even though he has a gateway explosion, he's not making use of it. He can warp in into the main, but this Prism, sorry, the Spore is going to be forcing him back. Oh god, is he really going to commit here? Yeah, there we go. He is forced to cancel that warp in. The Queens are here in time. At the same time, Zealot Run-By is going to be cleaned up as well. Mondo is all over this. Shuts down the Zealot, shuts down the Prism. Oh boy, and he's trying to sneak out a Spire. Very cheeky move here out of Mondo, but can he live long enough? Because now we have a more committed push at his third base. We have roaches to meet this. It looks like we should have enough to push this away. We shouldn't be losing too many workers, and it looks like MacSed will at least get 1 Gas Geyser. The gas will go down. Immediately, MacSed just picks up and heads into the main base from here. Queens are waiting for him, though. Oh, but Archon doesn't care about those Queens. He's going for the warp in anyway. The Spore died earlier, so we can't really deny this. Thankfully, roaches are in position, but a hot pickup. MacSed keeps his Archons alive. At the same time, Adepts are shading into the natural base. Zealots are hitting that 4th base as well. Chaos is ensuing all over the place. For the most part, Mondo is keeping up, though. Only 3 drones go down. Minimal losses, but I spoke too soon because these 2 Zealots are, oh my god, getting a couple more drone kills. 5 in total. Now, this could have been a lot worse. This was pretty committed out of MacSed. He warped in quite a number of Zealots. He was committing so much here to the attack, and this was designed to pull apart the Zerg player, and he kind of was, but not really the damage that he was looking for. And now, look at the supply. After all said and done, after all the dancing and poking and prodding and the multi-prong aggression, Mondo is almost maxed. Mondo is maxed on how many workers? 60 workers. This is the Mondo that we know and love, especially on Gressvan. This is how he brought down Nice in the ESL Open Cup Asia as well, or maybe it was KSL, or maybe it was both, as Mondo is going to be maxing out on Ling Roach Ravager. He's rushing across the map as we speak. There is a Prism to do some counter damage. And this is going to be a little bit awkward because Mondo's maxed, which means he can't actually make anything. Thankfully, he kept roaches in his main base. He was ready for this, and now he can focus on his assault. We have mutas going into the main. We have roaches headed towards the natural base as well. He's looking to wedge himself between the natural and the third base. We have a Prism. We have a Disruptor. The Stasis Trap does go off, and the Novas will connect. Oh my god. In the blink of an eye, 40 supply goes down the drain for Mondo. He is remaxing, he is rebuilding, but already this has not gone well. The Stasis Traps connected everywhere. Ay. Suddenly, in one swift move, Mondo, who was maxed out on 200 supply, is not looking too hot anymore. Novas go off, zoning away the army, and Mondo has to back off. Ay. This push was designed to kill. This was going to hit hard and heavy, and MacSed defends with his disruptors, with his Stasis Traps. He has weathered the storm. Suddenly, Mondo is now in a lot of trouble. He has to drone, as we can see. It was all meant to end then and there, and because it didn't, Mondo's in a really rough position. He's up against Disruptors. He's up against Colossi. He's up against a 3-basing Protoss player. He's getting a 4th base as we speak. And, yeah, Mondo has to take up. He's working towards his Infestation Pit. His goal here is to get into a Hive, is to eventually get into Viper Tech as well. Ideally, Lurkers as well. Hydra Lurker Viper is the composition that he needs to get into. If he doesn't, MacSed will be able to roll over him. And here we go. MacSed is moving out. Oh boy, he's closing the supply. Every second that goes by is better and better here from MacSed, and Mondo is going to try and hold on here with Ling Roach Ravager. He can, but he is heavily reliant on the surround. He has to surround this army. He has to come in from multiple angles. If he doesn't, then I don't think he will be able to hold on. I don't think he'll be able to deal with these Disruptors and Colossi. At the same time, we have a Zealot Runback coming in towards the southern portion of that. Biles will be connecting with the army. Novas are going to be zoning away Mondo for the time being, and he is losing workers. Oh, a lot of workers are going down. Even if he survives this push, his economy is going to be in the gutter. Banelings are rolling forward. Slow Banelings at that. Nova's going to be going off, connecting with Roaches. Oh, even with Ravagers as well. The Roaches are kind of getting on top of this army. They're going to be able to take down one of those Immortals, but only one. Meanwhile, those Zelts are still wreaking havoc. 11 more drones going down. Mondo really struggling to hold on right now. Hive is on the way. And MacSed is not leaving. That's the problem. MacSed, he is sticking around. He's reinforcing from across the map. He's warping in from back at home and rushing through Gressvan, and the Disruptor survived. They are still here. More Novas are going to be going off. They connect with the Ravagers. And Mondo is doing everything he can just to survive. But another warp in into another warp in into the main base. Nova connects once again with the Ravagers. This base is about to fall as well. The hatchery is barely standing, and it does go down. The splits, the last second splits are looking quite good here from Mondo. Even a last second snipe on that Disruptor. But the warp in into the main is doing devastating damage. 18 workers go down. The Zealots have just eviscerated the mineral lines of Mondo. He doesn't have the economy anymore to sustain this. So you can see on the camera, he just shook his head, exhaled as well, and now he's letting it sink in. Like, he knew that he was hitting a timing. Like, his timing was so crisp when he maxed out. When he hit 200 supply, when MacSed was at 140, like, that was it. That was the moment. And then he ran into Stasis Traps. He ran into Novas. Everything went wrong. GG gets called, and MacSed will take the series 2-0. GG, well played. MacSed will be able to take it in the end. Mondo, good efforts. Definitely good effort. Game 1 was, I mean, what I will say is that both games, I liked the plan of Mondo going into it. He was achieving a lot in both games, but we saw that in Game 1, he overextended more than he should have, not really recognizing the position of MacSed, and he was punished for it with a swift counterattack. Game 2, The execution of his timing was lacking a little bit. Like, he hit it well. Like, he maxed out really well at that moment. Like, he had his army, but when it came to the engagement overall, I want to say 3 stasis traps went off. 1 outside the third, and the other 2 outside the natural. The meters went into the main, which is good, but we also, on top of all those stasis traps, we saw Novas connecting beautifully on Mondo's army, and as soon as that happened, I mean, that was kind of game. It's really difficult to come back from that position because we don't have any upgrades, we don't have any tech, we don't have a hive, we don't have a hydrodem, we don't have an infestation pit. Like, there's so much that we're lacking because we were so reliant on that push dealing some damage. If not ending the game, then maybe killing the third, and he wasn't even able to do that. Oof. GG. GG, well played. And just like that, IG have a solid start, and this is what I was talking about. Team ABYDOS, they're not fielding their strongest roster. You know, Mondo is a semi-pro. He's an up-and-comer, and I got a lot of love for him, but the reality is that he still has to prove himself amongst the best of the best. Likewise, SOS recently came back to play, maybe a couple of months ago, and SOS hasn't been the most active player either. We've been seeing him pop up in KSLs, in Kung Fu Cups, in the GSL qualifiers. We've been seeing a little bit of SOS. The reality is that he is not the most active player either. He's not playing every week. He's not playing in KSL every week, or ESL Asia every week, or WTL every week, you know? SOS's reality is that right now, SOS is more of a B-teamer on ABYDOS. So this isn't so clear-cut. BreakingGG, you know, not the strongest player out there, but against SOS, anything can happen. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Sister, and for IG, it is BreakingGG. And spawning in the top right-hand corner for Team ABYDOS, it is SOS. Oh boy, so SOS, obviously, he's the $100,000 man, dollar sign, as he was once called after winning IM Katowice back in the day, back in 2014. Oh boy, he has a legacy behind him. SOS is a world-class player. He is a world champion. He has done so much in his StarCraft career, but he took some time off. He stepped away from the game for a number of years, and for those who don't know, SOS hasn't done his military service, which is a little bit surprising. I think a lot of people assumed that when he left the game, he did his military, and when he's back, well, now he can focus on pro gaming. The reality is no. He went off, and I believe he got like a full-time job, and he was focusing on, you know, other aspects of his life instead. And now he is back. Still hasn't done his military service. That is still looming on the horizon, so that will have to be done at some point for SOS. And yeah, the form of SOS is still something that we're looking for. We were recently able to cast SOS versus Creator a couple of weeks ago, and Creator was looking solid. Like, SOS is still finding his footing. He's still not at his peak form that he once was, and it takes some time. It takes some time after a long break to really get into your own again. Like, and not everyone can be Hero. Hero, it took him like a couple of months, like 3 months, if that, to come back into form and become the best of the best, and really cement himself as the #1 Protoss. Classic, it took him a year. It took him a year to really come back into form, and now, recently, mate, Classic is on fire. SOS is still back for like 2 months. Still recently come back, still has to shake that rust off, still has to find his way here in current meta, and we'll see if he can, as, he's going to be going for a cheeky pylon block here. The goal here is not just to delay, the goal here is to delay until the Adepts get here. 2 pylons are cancelled, we have a 3rd pylon here, and the Adept does get here in time. Its goal to focus down these Lings, and to make sure BreakingGG stays on 2 bases. Oof. Even gets a drone kill towards the end. You may think, is this worth it? The answer is yes. It's not really too expensive to cancel pylons, and what's important is that they were all cancelled. None of those pylons were killed, so SOS is able to get away with keeping BreakingGG on those 2 bases. This is a little cheeky opener that has been rising in popularity. What we just saw from SOS, we have seen from Hero, Like, Hero bullies people with this. And we've seen it from Classic as well. So this build, oh, sorry, this opener has been making the rounds in South Korea. Meanwhile, we do see that one Adept getting another drone in the main base as well. Eventually, SOS will back off, and finally, BreakingGG established his third base. And oh, this was a Twilight Council opener. SOS is not stopping his aggression. Not a Star Gateway, going straight into Glaive Adepts. How many gateways, though? It looks like at least 4. We have 3 gates on the way, 1 gate already done, so 4 gates. Not the most committed. 4 gate Glaive Adepts is, you know, middle of the road. It can do damage. It can kill. It can end the game, to be fair. Like, things can get out of control really quickly. But we can also transition out of this. That's the power of the 4 gate Glaive Adept, is that we can expand and take a third base. We can also, if we want to, transition into 2 base Disruptor as well, if we really want to. So we'll see if SOS takes additional gases. We'll see if he does take a third Nexus as well. As the Adepts are going to be racing across the map. BreakingGG does have Lings on the way. He does have a Roach Warren in production as well. A pretty nicely timed Roach Warren. The downside is that because that third hatchery was delayed, there's no creep. There's no creep connecting those bases. We have very little time to react, very little time to respond here for SOS. The Adepts are trying to focus down these queens, and they will get 1. Oh, they could get a second. Ooh, a little bit of lapse in judgment there from BreakingGG. Does lose a little bit more than he really should. The Prism is slipping into the main base, and BreakingGG is a little bit too busy right now with these Adepts. Those are the Queens that barely do survive. Meanwhile, the Prism has made its way in. We have a warp in of Adepts in towards the main base. Lings are trying to get here in time. It looks like they will get us around on the Adepts. Just barely in time. Roaches are on the way. BreakingGG is holding for now. As long as he doesn't lose too much. The Adepts do commit to the Shade, and they are going to get in towards that natural, in towards the third. Oh boy, but again, BreakingGG, he was quick to pull away those workers. I'm honestly pretty impressed here by his defense. This could have been a lot worse. BreakingGG, I think he lost 3 drones in total. Not too bad here. Pretty acceptable losses from our Chinese Zerg player. But he's got to be able to keep it up here. He is attempting to drone as we speak. He is transitioning. Likewise, SOS just now throws down a third base. So it looks like BreakingGG recognizes that SOS can't kill him, and SOS also recognizes that SOS can't kill him. He knows, Papi. He knows. But did I speak too soon? The Adepts are still looking for damage. They're headed towards the natural as well. They're going to be able to trade here with these Lings. They do commit to the Shade. They're going to be headed towards the third base. At the same time, a Prism has slipped into the main. Uh-oh. Oh, that damage that we were talking about, I don't think we have WCS Game Heart. More drones have been dying. GG gets called, and SOS takes game number 1. At the very end, 10 drones died. 10 workers went down in the blink of an eye, and that is unacceptable damage. SOS is able to take it in the end. He wasn't even all in. He had a third base on the way. You know, he was transitioning, throwing down more gates, throwing down more tech. Oof. BreakingGG just having a hard time keeping up towards the end, as SOS was relentless and just would not stop. Oh, GG. Oh, and now we're getting ready for game number 2, but this is going to be BreakingGG's map of choice. It's up to him with how he wants to pull this off, where he wants to take this. Because of that, I want to give him a bit of an edge here, because he's got strategy. Is that fitting in current era? Well, we'll see. As in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales, for IG, it is BreakingGG. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales for Team ABYDOS, it is SOS. Here we go. BreakingGG's map of choice. Again, Dragon Scales. We have seen a lot of all-ins on this map before. And I'm looking for another here as well. We'll be keeping an eye on that drone count from BreakingGG. Likewise, SOS. Just going to be getting ready as well. We have seen a pretty standard opener so far from him. And we even saw a relatively standard game last game as well. Like 4-gate Glaive Adepts. Like, there's nothing too fancy off of that. Honestly, it was, yeah, it's something that shouldn't really get too out of hand, but BreakingGG may be a little bit nervous. You know, he's up against the $1 million, the $1,000, $100,000 man himself, you know, like, he's up against SOS, so maybe a little bit nervous. Gonna have to shake them off. as we get into game 2. Now is not the time for nerves. Now is the time for some StarCraft. As BreakingGG was already able to get his natural, already a big win, and that will help, especially against Glaive Adepts. Because of this, I don't think SOS should be going for a Twilight Council opener again. I don't think it's going to work anywhere near as well as it would have, or as it did last game. I do think that it would be wise to divert our plans and go for something a little bit different. But we shall see. As the Lings are just going to be chasing away this probe, just trying to make sure that the third base is thrown down on time, on location. The Adept rocks up, and the Adept, does try to focus down the drone, but we are very quick to morph in that Gas Geyser. Regardless, a very nice delay here from SOS. BreakingGG is going to be stuck on 2 bases that much longer. Oof. Oh boy, I love this SOS. He's even trying to hug that Gas Geyser, and that's not a cancel. The Gas Geyser is completed. The drone is no more, and that is a bit of a waste of resources as well. Meanwhile, SOS is going for a Twilight Council opener once again, 2 games in a row. Now, if we did manage to have a look at the main base, then we can have a look at the gases, and we can tell if this is going to be Glaive Adepts. I imagine it will. There was nothing fancy out of game 1. The game 1 was pretty straight up. I was going to say this before, but it was kind of like SOS was like skill checking his opponent in a way, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does that here again. Meanwhile, BreakingGG is going for a very fast lair. I'm worried for BreakingGG because we don't really need a lair against Glaive Adepts. And here we go. Glaives is on the way. Once again, it's going to be 4 gateways here for SOS. Now, what this lair will do is that it will allow BreakingGG to get into a much faster roach speed, which means that after he defends, he can counterattack. After he does defend against the Glaive Adepts, he can counterattack and do a lot of damage. Meanwhile, this is weird. This is different. This is out of the norm. SOS is going for a Stargate. It looks like SOS isn't going to commit as hard, and I appreciate this. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this Glaive Adept opener is without a robo. There's no robo, there is no prism. I believe only gateways here. So we're going to be able to preserve that gas and transition elsewhere. SOS has a third base on the way. He has a Stargate on the way, I imagine, for Void Rays as well. And Void Rays are going to be key here to defend against the Roach counterattack. Very interesting. As Adepts commit to the shade, they get completely surrounded by these Lings. But the Lings are all going to go down. Oh god, the drones are falling as well. Again, no W6 game heart, but a lot of drones are going down. Oh my god, they come back a little bit too soon. We are down to only 30 workers already. This is not working out well for BreakingGG. He rushed into lair for a reason. He wanted to be aggressive with it. But these Adepts are just wreaking havoc, and they weren't even meant to, really. Like, this is not my final form. SOS, that's the second Stargate. He's going double Stargate. Potentially double Stargate Void Ray. He's got an Oracle on the way for the time being. Oh god, 13 drones went down for 3 Adepts. Oof. Not looking too good here for BreakingGG. The first Oracle is dipping into the main base. And again, who expects an Oracle after Glaives? There's no Spore. There are no Queens in position because why would you? Why would you have a Spore? Why would you have Queens in the main base for such a delayed Oracle? Meanwhile, Adepts, they show up here at the third base as well. BreakingGG is being pulled apart. Oof. As it looks like we did overextend a little bit. The Oracle will go down. Speaking of, if only Kura was here. We're making mass oracles. We're making 2 oracles at a time. SOS is looking to have fun. He's pulling a bit of a hero, which makes sense. You know, the old rivals, I'm sure, are still in touch. 2 Adepts do shade into the natural. The rest shade in towards the main base as well. The target firing is pretty damn good. And BreakingGG is already falling apart. We may not even see the Adepts, and I'm worried. We may not even see the Oracles. The Oracles are banking up back at home. But already BreakingGG, he's dying. He is just dying. So many drones have fallen already. This one Oracle is barely going to be able to escape. BreakingGG is all in. He has to send everything he has across the map because what else is he going to do with all these roaches? And what is he going to run into? He's going to be running into Glaive Adepts, which he can't handle. Cannons, shield batteries. But there aren't that many of these roaches. And here we go. The oracles do reveal themselves. They activate their beams. They tickle away at these roaches. But hey, these tickles, they can kill. So stop it. I mean, the roaches, they're dying. Eventually, slowly, one after the other. And oh boy. Again, a big loss here for BreakingGG. So many resources going down the drain. He's going into Hydras. So Roach Hydra is going to be the answer. Meanwhile, Oracle production hasn't stopped. SOS, he's having some fun. He is having some fun here. He is enjoying himself. Oh boy. Zerg players, look away. This is not going to be pretty. It hasn't been pretty already, and it's still not going to be. As the Oracles are waiting to dive into the main base, we can see BreakingGG shake his head for a moment there, but he's still in this. Like, he still has to play this out. He can't give up, not yet. As the Oracles dive into the main, we do have some clutch transfuses, but one queen goes down. The second queen goes down. Down goes the third as well, and these Oracles are snowballing. They are out of control. There's nothing to stop them. We do have 2 spores in the main, actually. That'll stop them. But we just lost every queen. Queens have fallen. SOS, anytime is a good time to Dark Shrine. As the Dark Shrine is on the way in the production tab. And, yeah. He's kind of doing whatever he wants. I mean, because, like, this composition is so awkward, like, SOS doesn't have the biggest lead, to be fair, but he does have a lead nonetheless. Like, he's still looking very solid overall. He has a nice base count. He has a nice drone count. We see BreakingGG trying to go for some roach counterattacks. But he will be cleaned up, and now SOS can focus on his assault. Again, he does have to respect the spores, especially 2 spores back to back. But we're going into Blink. Blink is done. We're going into Stalkers as well. Oh my god. The Oracles are just diving on top of these Hydras. They don't even care. But they should. There's quite a large Hydra count there at the natural base. And ooh, these Oracles are starting to go down. But before they did, they were able to pick off, I want to say, 5 to 6 Hydras. So that kind of makes it worth it anyway. You could argue that the longevity, or like these Oracles don't really have too much longevity. They have run out of usefulness. The time for the Oracles have come and gone. And we're kind of just waiting here for that big push out from SOS. BreakingGG has been able to tech up quite heavily. We have a Lurker Den on the way, upgrades as well. So, you know, he has some tech to work with. I just worry because his economy can't really sustain it. And as I bring up the economy, even more drones are going down. Oh, God. The drone damage just doesn't stop, Papi. It doesn't stop. And this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. SOS, he has amassed an army of Blink Stalkers. We do see Lynx trying to close the gap, trying to close the distance on this. We do see SOS blinking backwards here across the map, but he has plenty of room to work with. He has plenty to deal with all these Lings. And without the Lings, he's going to be able to get on top of the Roaches. Oh boy. Meanwhile, remember that Dark Shrine? Well, we got Blink on the way. Blink, Shadow Stride is on the way for those DTs. Do we need it? Probably not. You know, I like investing into like these different tech structures is probably hurting SOS more than helping him, but you know what? It's fine. He likes it. Don't worry about it, Papi. Don't worry about it. Lurkers are slowly arriving one after the other. BreakingGG surviving long enough to actually make some of these Lurkers that will help him here in the defense. 3 Lurkers are in position, but as we see the Lurkers, SOS throws down the Fleet Beacon. He's maxed out. He doesn't need the Fleet Beacon, but he has it on the way just in case. As he's looking to flex his Stalker, his Blink Stalker skills. Oh, a lot of these Stalkers are going down though. Sorry, BreakingGG not taking too bad of a fight, especially with the power of those Hydras. Oh, but he does have to be careful. One of those lurkers is very exposed. A little bit of a misclick, but the lurker will go down in the end. As SOS is pushing on forward. Pure Blink Stalkers is all you need against this. Lurkers do kind of complicate things, but SOS is fighting out of range of those lurkers. Oh, he blinks forward though into lurkers. Where's the revelation? Oh god! The revelations are very delayed, and as a result, a lot of stalkers. Almost every stalker goes down. A little bit of a misstep there from SOS. A little bit of a misguided blink is going to mean that BreakingGG is still in this. Still behind economically, still behind in army supply. But he's not dead yet. Oh, as this time we have the revelation on the lurkers. This time they will go down. GG gets called, and a couple seconds later, there we go. As SOS takes the series 2-0. In a very spectacular fashion, in a very SOS fashion. It was Glavedeps 4-gate with no robo into a faster third base into double Stargate Oracle production. That is the most interesting thing to me that we saw that game. The double Stargate Oracle follow-up was very smart, to be honest. I would say he deserves a 10 in strategy for that. Just because when Glaives are revealed, the last thing you expect are Oracles, because that means there's just no Stargate, period. Like, why would you ever make a Stargate after that? Because it slows you down, and it did slow SOS down, to be fair. Like, the Mass Oracle, what did it do? It killed queens, it killed some drones, sure, but like tech-wise, in the grand scheme of things, it did kind of slow down the transition of SOS going into Blink, going into +1, going into his fourth base. But again, because it was so unexpected, it was able to do quite a bit of damage, and really caught BreakingGG and even myself off guard. GG, well played. Ooh. Nicely done there by SOS, making not his debut in World Team League. He was playing in the qualifiers of WTL as well, but it's good to see him once again. And thankfully, he's able to put some points on the board for his team, which was very necessary because this ties up the series 2-2. This is going to come down to game 3, or set 3. XY versus Nightmare. It comes down to this. If XY takes a game, all he has to do is take a game, then he forces the ace match, and who knows what can happen in a best of 1. Otherwise, if Nightmare takes this 2-0, then Team ABYDOS will take the series. Oh boy. I do think that Nightmare is coming in as the favorite. He's been on fire recently. We've been casting him, and we've been seeing him take down some very big names, even come as far as 2nd place in ESL Americas 2 weeks ago at this point. So it's been looking really good. But XY, SOS may have 10 in strategy. XY has 10 in mentality. That's just the kind of person he is. He has the mindset of the king. His brain is like no other. No ego involved. Just pure zen. He has reached the upper echelons of enlightenment. And we're going to be looking, or he's going to be looking to impart some wisdom upon the people, upon his opponent, as he's up against Nightmare. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be taking place on Altitude, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Altitude for Invictus Gaming, it is XY. And in the top right-hand corner for ABYDOS, it is Nightmare. Oh boy, here we go. XY already sending out a very early SCV across the map. Peculiar. Again, XY is known for the mindset of the king, the mindset of the strong. But sometimes the strong must be a little bit cheeky. And because of how early this SCV is, we'll see if it can avoid the probe scout. And if it does, which it barely does. Oh my god. Just barely is able to scrape on by. We can see an NG block. We can even see a bunker behind the mineral line as the SCV does rock up. There's the engineering bay that we were expecting, but the boys were expecting this. And Nightmare shuts this down. Wow. Very nicely done here by Nightmare. Not too much progression at all on this eBay, which means it will be cancelled, which means Nightmare can expand quite happily. There we go. There is that cancel that we were waiting for. And now Nightmare can throw down that Nexus. So XY was trying to be a little bit cheeky, was trying to get away with sneaking out that SCV and throwing down that eBay block, but Nightmare was wise to all of that. And oh boy, it's okay though, because again, XY, you know, if at first you don't succeed, try again. That was merely stage 1 of the plan. And as XY would say, there are multiple layers here to a battle, to a fight. That was only stage 1. Here we go. This XY is setting up back at home, is going for, oh, interesting. Did go for a single gas opener, so I assumed he would go for a Rax expand. And he kind of is, but the CC is being thrown down on the high ground. Okay, interesting stuff here. So very safe play out of XY. Again, he doesn't want to force a delay on his economy. Meanwhile, his opponents on altitude, it makes plenty of sense. We're going to be going for the Stargate opening. As we get into those Stargates, a massive shout out to the sponsors once again of WTL. If it wasn't for these sponsors, this event would not be a thing. So a shout out to TGI Fridays for some of the best food out there. To Taidu for that streamer promo that we get at the start of every broadcast. Rio de Janeiro, because, mate, Home Story Cup Cancun is too expensive. And Doyu, because, you know, if we weren't streaming on Twitch, we'd probably be streaming on Doyu. Well, we wouldn't. We'd probably be streaming on YouTube, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they're great. It's what the Chinese stream is. Shout out to Doyu. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's great whenever you tune in and there's text flying at your face. For those of you who haven't watched the stream on Doyu, it's worth the experience. It's something different. Oh god. Aye. As we're going to be going Oracle first into those Phoenixes. There we go. Phoenixes are now coming out behind this, as we would expect. Phoenix Colossus should be the setup that Nightmare is headed towards. But before that happens, XY had a really interesting build. If you saw Oath of One, he's still on 1 gas, by the way. He went for a Rax into factory into natural base. And with that factory, he was able to pump out a couple of these Reapers, a couple of these Hellions for scouting information. Behind this, he's going into a 3-rack setup as well. So again, very tight on the gas overall. No major drop play is going to be coming out. So XY is going to be in the dark. He's not going to be able to see and scout the main base. And hopefully he's ready for the Oracle and for the Phoenixes. Hopefully. As his Marines are in position at the natural, no Cyclone was produced. The Phoenix does reveal itself, so now XY is fully aware of what the opener was. He knows what's going on. And interesting, Nightmare doesn't delay his Twilight Council. I assumed that this would be Phoenixes from app control, and we would go into Colossus production from here, off of a Robo. But no, there is no Robo. We're going into a Twilight Council. We're going into, I imagine, Charge. Or Blink. We'll see. We'll see where we go with this. There's that Forge for +1 as well. Nexus is on the way. We have seen some Charge Phoenix kind of compositions in the past, which is why that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. It'd be really odd to go Blink Phoenix just because they both have the same role. And there it is. Charge is on the way. And this can be a pretty potent composition. You have Phoenixes to CC the tanks, for example, and then the Charge ults will dive on top of everything else. It can work quite well, especially if the Terran player is planning to move into you. There we go, as we even have that +1 armor on the way. That is kind of the same logic behind getting +1 carapace for Banelings and Zerglings in ZVT. The goal here is for the Zealots to survive, to be able to survive long enough to actually get on top of the Terran army to swipe away at them as well. So typically when you're going for charge like this, +1 armor has a little bit more value in that sense. Meanwhile, here we go. The Phoenix is just going to be skirting in towards the natural base, but there are plenty of Marines in position. They shoo them away quite handily. We are getting into that 3-rack setup. Meanwhile, the double Cyclone get caught in these stasises and are a little bit vulnerable as a result. Looks like Nightmare is not going to be going for it, not taking the bait. will just maintain map control here, skirting around the edges of the map. A couple of lock-ons are going to be thrown down, but Nightmare does break them, does back off. Oh, and we're getting into from a 3-racks into a 5-rack setup here from XY. Oh boy, so he's going to be relying a lot on his bio army. Meanwhile, charge is done. XY spots the Zealot army, does stim the hell out of there. But he is quite isolated from his main army. Oh, and Nightmare's just going to hunt this down, or he's looking to. XY, get out of there. Unfortunately, Terran can't stim. Oh, he's looking for him, Bobby. He's looking for him. XY trying to find a way off altitude, but no, there is no way off this mountain, no way off this cliff. The Zealots do come across the Cyclones and the Marines, and the Cyclones go down. The Marines soon after, they try to stim away, they try to escape, but there is no escaping the ABYDOS. 12 Marines and 2 Cyclones for 1 Zealot. Oh, that's it's not the best trade there from XY. Losing a big chunk of his army. With his full wall off and with his tanks, Nightmare can't really break the position of XY, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't want to. I'm sure he's content with just containing his opponent behind this Nightmare. He's getting a 3rd base. There is that double robot production as we speak. Blink +1 should eventually be going into Colossi or Disruptor production. So Nightmare is just really rounding out his armies, happy and content to take up further from here. Meanwhile, unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe XY has thrown down a 3rd CC. This is looking like a 2-base all-in. No 3rd CC whatsoever. No! Oh, the Marines, they come out a little bit prematurely, and they do get surrounded by those Zealots. I believe instead of that 3rd CC, we went for those additional Raxes. We have Liberators on the way as well. We're going to be committing here into something quite big. Before that happens, oh, Nightmare trying to push up on the ramp into all these tanks is not a good idea. Oh, but this is going to be a good idea. We have force fields. We cut up the bio army. So much of it does go down already. And this 2-base all-in is just being slowed down time and time again. We've just lost so many Marines so far. No! And the stasis, is going to go off as well on the army. And with that, once again, XY is going to be slowed down. He's stimming on forward here with his Marauders. He is very ambitious, and he's going to be punished for it. The Marauders get lifted up. The Marines go down. At this point, what can XY do? Pull the boys? There's still no base behind this. He's taking this slow and steady. Admirable. Oh. As we do have a couple of Zealots coming in from behind as well, catching these reinforcements. The boys, they're about to be pulled, which makes sense. We are very all in. XY doesn't have another way out of this. No, the SCVs, they're stuck because of the depots. The depots were raised. Oh no. Oh, and now the army is getting completely surrounded. These Phoenixes pick up every single tank, and the Zealots are going to be able to clean up everything else on the ground below that. Nightmare completely picks XY's army apart. Oh boy, the boys are finally being pulled, but it's a little bit too late for that. The fight is over, the tanks are dead. From here, Nightmare doesn't have to commit, but he will because he has Colossi. He's already got the Colossus, Papi. Ay. And from here, I don't know how XY can... No, there's no coming back. GG gets called. And Nightmare, with a dominant performance, takes game number 1. Whew. Damn. Oh my god. Nightmare just in full control of that game, to be honest. He, had a handle on quite a lot of what was going on. Especially when it comes to the opener as well, shutting down the eBay, for example, getting into his Phoenixes, keeping and holding on to that map control, and catching the army as well. We saw that multiple times XY was caught out with big chunks of his army. We saw the Marines and the Cyclones kind of pinned and kind of cornered in the right-hand side of the map. Likewise, we saw his army being cut up by those force fields as well. Just time and time again, he was bleeding out units when we can't afford to bleed out. Not when we're going all in like this. Oh, GG. GG, well played. And with that, it is going to be XY's map of choice. His map of choice. Here we go. And he's going to be going for Babylon. Interesting. Quite a smaller map, obviously. Altitude is the largest map in the map pool. A lot of bases, a lot of room. Difficult to pull off a 2-base all-in. Babylon, I feel like, has become one of the more aggressive maps out there. Not as aggressive as Dragon Scales, of course. Dragon Scales is crazy. Rush distance very short on Dragon Scales. Same with Neo Humanity. But after Dragon Scales and Neo Humanity, I feel like Babylon is the next one. We see so many aggressive plays on this map, whether it's 2-base all-ins, whether it's pulling the boys, whether it's certain timings when we cut workers early on. I do think that there is a lot of potential on this map as we are looking to load on in, and we are back. The stream is back, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon. For IG, it is XY. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent for Team ABYDOS. It is Nightmare. Now, for context, Nightmare needs to win this game, and Team ABYDOS will win the series. They will take it 4-2 in their favor. XY needs to win this game to tie up the series 1-1 and to force an ace match out of this Team League match, which will still be risky, but it will be the best chance that Invictus Gaming have at winning this series. If you want this to go the distance, then XY is the one to cheer for. If not, the Nightmare is the one to read for instead. I mean, Nightmare was looking pretty good. Like, he was he was looking so solid and so dominant in that first game. But at the same time, on altitude, you have a lot of breathing room. You have so much freedom to do whatever you want, to get into a Stargate opener, to get into Phoenixes, and to not be punished as well. I don't think we're going to see a Stargate opener in game number 2. I do think it'll be harder to pull off here on Babylon. But we'll see. We'll see what the plan is, as this time XY doesn't send an SCV across the map. This time there is no eBay block. Hasn't attempted to go for it. Should be aware that Nightmare won't let that happen. As we have a double gas opener from XY this time. So much more aggressive, less economic. With this, he can get into a much faster factory. Oh boy. So more aggression coming out from XY this game. Nightmare is fully aware. He probe scouted. He saw the gases. And the probe is still alive as well, so you can go in for a follow-up scout as well. So Nightmare knows that he does have to keep an eye on what is up here from XY. What is going on? As we have that reactor on the way alongside the factory. We have the add-on swap as well to get into potentially a mine drop opener with Widow Mines, or even some Hellions as well. There it is. It is going to be a mine drop setup. Widow Mines are on the way. Starport is on the way behind this. And these Widow Mines, they can do some damage, but more importantly, they're also designed to keep the Protoss player back at home and also get a scout of the main base as well to figure out what exactly the Protoss is up to. Oh my god. As Nightmare is going for a robo opener. Nightmare is looking to have some fun, Papi. With this robo, we can do a couple of different things. We can go into a fast robotics bay and go for disruptor drops. We can rush into Colossi, which I haven't seen that in a while, but we can do so as well, getting into very fast Colossus production. Or we can get into a prism. We can throw down the third gateway, and we can be hyper aggressive with gateway units as well. I believe we only have 2 gateways to work with, though. So yeah, only 2 gateways. So it's looking to be, I imagine, a disruptor drop opener. Meanwhile, back at home, this is going to be very committed from XY. It isn't just a mine drop. We have an armory. Detection is required. But Nightmare is reading this so well. He's already got an observer on the way because of the robo. Ay. Observer is already out. Detection has arrived. We have a second observer as well. Nightmare is playing this out so cautiously. This is actually insane. If this drop does no damage, XY may tap out. like actually no damage. We'll see how this goes. There's always potential here when the drop comes in. There's a Twilight Council follow-up as well, so we're not rushing into a robotics bay. Thankfully, we're not going to be going that greedy. Oh boy, but here we go. The drop is diving on in already. The Stalkers are in position. The boys are being pulled. How good are the mine shots? Up! 5 probes go down for 4 mines. That's okay, but really not ideal. We have the Widow Mines being spread out here. They're trying to hide from these Stalkers, but they're all gonna get hunted down. Oh boy. And there's that bay that we were talking about. Because of the robot opener, it just leads into a very fast robotics bay, which leads into very fast colossi, very fast splash damage. And now Nightmare is getting ready for the second drop. Because usually when we commit for an armory, we need more than 1 drop. Second mine drop is headed towards the natural base. Nightmare, is he looking? He is. Oh, he does pull on forward. The medevac is going to be going down. 3 Widow Mines do get borrowed. Oh god! And that mine shot killed the observer. The splash damage was a little bit too much. We have to recall the second observer. Thankfully, we had one, but this was a little bit better for XY. You know, killing an observer, forcing a recall. Good stuff, good stuff. As we have the third mine drop going across the map. Still not ideal, but we're on the way regardless. Oh, this is a risky move from Nightmare. He's going to try and catch the drop, and can he get it in time? Up! No, he misses it! He misses the drop. Oh my god, and he's going to be able to slip into the main. Nightmare is in position, but only with a handful of Stalkers. Oh. And XY doesn't go for it. Oh no, he's being tracked. The observer spotted him. And Nightmare has arrived. Oh, looks like one of those Widow Mines is going to be zoning Nightmare away. Blink not done yet. Oh, that's 2 probes. 2 probes going down for 1 mine shot. Good trade for XY, I guess. Yes, he is waiting to dive in once again. Meanwhile, what's interesting about Nightmare is that he isn't going into fast Colossi. He's going into fast Disruptors instead, which is a risky move, definitely. He's heavily reliant and confident in his own ability to micro and control and react. Everything, really. So a bold move here from Nightmare. Meanwhile, he's getting his third base up and running. He's getting ahead economically. The drop is looking to slip into the main base. Is he paying attention? Oh, he is. Oh, just like that. 1 shot away from going down. That medevac is stuck in the bottom right-hand corner, and there is no way out. There's no way to escape. Meanwhile, XY is setting up here with +1, stim, combat shields. He's getting into his own game. Had a bit of a later next CC, of course, but did get there in the end. Oh boy, and we'll see if he goes for another 2-base all-in. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe there's a 3rd CC. Not yet, anyway. Just focusing on Marine Marauder tank. Quite a hefty army, to be honest. Quite solid, quite powerful overall from Nightmare. I'm sorry, from XY. And he can take the fight. Like, the problem with Nightmare's army, as you can imagine, is that he is so reliant on his own control with Disruptors, and also his opponent's miscontrol. XY's ability to not split against these Novas. Like, it's so high risk, high reward. And we can see XY crumble in the face of these Disruptors. We can also see Nightmare just miscontrol and maybe lose every single Disruptor to some stemmed bio army. Like, it's anything is possible. Oh no. Oh no, I can see this happening so clearly. We do see XY pushing it forward. Nova does go off, and oh god! Oh, a good chunk of those Marauders go down. The army stims on forward, and again, another Nova is going to be able to zone him back. Already a good start for Nightmare. At the same time, it looks like that 1 drop did go down in the corner of the map. God, Nightmare just continuing to get value here with his Disruptors. Oh, overextending a little bit. Let's have to be careful. His Novas are on hold position. Disruptors even. And XY is slowly leapfrogging across the map. Oh, and we do see Novas connecting. One of them does connect with those tanks, and it looks like the Stalkers are looking to clean up the rest. 2 tanks go down, but the army is making its way towards the 3rd base. 4th base. My apologies. Oh boy, meanwhile, I could be mistaken, but I think boys are being pulled across the map. I can see a big blob of... Yeah, there we go. I was like, I can see a big, massive wave of blue coming, and it is going to be those SCVs. The boys are arriving, but we blink on forward. Another tank goes down. Overcharge is popped as well to keep everything alive, and we are running out of bio units. We still have plenty of these disruptors. Nice splits, though, towards the end. Not the best connections here from Nightmare, but these follow-up connections do take down the last remaining tanks. No tanks remaining. We only have a handful of Marines, Marauders, and a turret in the back line. And it looks like Nightmare is barely going to be able to hold on. He doesn't really have a lot of gateway units. He's got a handful of Blink Stalkers, but... Oh, GTs. I noticed it earlier. I didn't bring attention to it, but a Dark Shine was thrown down. DTs are counterattacking across the map as well, just crippling the economy or keeping XY's attention across the map. GG gets called, and Nightmare will take the series 2-0. Oh, GG. Oh, again, a very strong showing here from Nightmare. Was a little bit risky, I think, to go into those disruptors as quickly as he did, but clearly it did pay off. The Novas were more than juicy enough on XY's army, and just like that, ABYDOS take down Invictus Gaming 4-2. GG, well played. Again, this was kind of the best case scenario for IG, but alas, they were not able to overcome the might that is SOS and Nightmare. Shout out to Mondo, though. Mondo, he put in a good effort, and